Today we're getting into something that's, well, both fascinating and, frankly, pretty harrowing.
We are. We're looking at a major report on psiconeuroimmunology, or PNI.
And our mission, really, is to understand this harrowing link between long-term relational trauma and actual physical disease, how this invisible trauma can act like a pathogen.
It's so important to define that stressor. The report uses terms like Cassandra syndrome or OTRS, ongoing traumatic relationship syndrome.
So this isn't just, having a bad week.
Not at all. It's this deep psychological breakdown from chronic emotional deprivation, from being constantly denied and having the outside world not believe you. It's that invisibility.
Okay, so that's the core idea, invisible trauma. But how does feeling dismissed? How does that actually make someone physically sick? I mean, does the brain really see emotional pain the same way it sees a physical injury?
It absolutely does. And that's not speculation. The neurobiology is incredibly clear on this. Functional MRI scans show that when you process social rejection and invalidation, your brain lights up the exact same regions it uses for physical pain. We're talking the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula.
So to your brain, being rejected feels like a threat to your survival.
A direct physical threat. It doesn't really make a distinction.
So if that alarm is just constantly blaring, what happens to our internal stress circuit, the HPA axis, right?
That's precisely where the system breaks down. With that kind of unrelenting stress, the axis just fails. Your body is flooded with cortisol, but your immune cells, they develop something called glucocorticoid resistance, GCR.
Stop listening to the cortisol.
They stop listening. Cortisol is supposed to be the off switch for inflammation. With GCR, that switch is broken. The immune system is just running wild.
And that's the runaway inflammation the report talks about.
Exactly. You get these chronically high levels of inflammatory messengers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, and that constant unchecked inflammation is basically the fertile soil for all sorts of somatic diseases, especially autoimmune disorders like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis.
Now, what if someone is dealing with that, but they also have a history of trauma? Does a nervous system that's already been on high alert handle this differently?
Oh, absolutely. That's what the report calls the double hit hypothesis.
The first hit being?
Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. That's the first hit. It primes the nervous system for defense. So when OTRS comes along, the second hit, the damage isn't just added on top, it's synergistic. It multiplies.
I have to imagine that kind of cellular exhaustion literally ages you. We know stress shortens telomeres.
It does, and it leads directly to something called immunosenescence.
Premature cellular aging.
Basically, yeah. Your immune system starts acting like it's decades older than it is. So it gets worse at spotting things like tumors, which raises cancer risk. But at the same time, it's also overreacting and causing more inflammation. It's the worst of both worlds.
And all that time spent walking on eggshells, that hypervigilance, it keeps you stuck in fight or flight. So that internal brake, the vagus nerve, it's just not getting used.
It's completely disengaged. Your vagal tone plummets. And since the vagus nerve is the main anti-inflammatory pathway, a low tone means the body just can't switch inflammation off. It also explains the gut issues like IBS, because that nerve is the superhighway for the gut-brain axis.
So if the damage is so biological, this GCR, the telomeres, the low vagal tone, what does recovery even look like? I mean, talk therapy alone isn't going to fix a biological function.
It can't. The whole therapeutic approach has to shift. It has to be about autonomic regulation. You have to target the physiology to reset the nervous system itself.
And what are some of those tools? I saw mentions of like external stimulation.
Yes, things like transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation, or TVNS. It's a way to externally activate that vagal brake to bring down inflammation. But even something behavioral like expressive writing, just organizing the chaos of the trauma on paper, has been shown to reduce the cognitive load and actually boost immune function.
What about for people who have learned to just swallow their feelings, that self-silencing pattern they call the type C personality?
That's a crucial piece. Recovery for them requires boundary setting. It requires learning how to express anger in a healthy way. You have to reverse that pattern because that chronic repression is physically dangerous.
So the cure really is about restoring the voice in the body.
They're inseparable. You have to acknowledge that the OTRS is a medical issue, a real biological injury.
The body saw the trauma clearly the whole time. You can't be invisible to your own immune system.
You can't.
What does it mean for us as a society when we finally recognize that denying someone's emotional reality and validating them activates the exact same primal threat response in their body as a physical attack? It's something to think about.
If you are a neurotypical wife in a marriage with an ASD level 1 husband, and you feel like you're suffering from Cassandra syndrome, then there's going to be a link below this video in the description area and also pinned in the comment section that will take you to my Cassandra syndrome recovery group. We meet 1 hour a week for 4 weeks. I hope to see you in that group.